Raj, thank you. For the former president, it was an easy path for the victory in Nevada last week. He has now won his third Republican contest so far, adding the Silver State to Iowa and New Hampshire as he moves closer to the GOP presidential nomination. With more on what this win means is analyst Alex Burstein. Alex, good evening. Let's talk about Nikki Haley first before we get into Trump. How did Nikki Haley manage to lose to no one? And I said once again, she lost to no one this past week.
Yeah, good evening, Ben. In 2021, Nevada passed a law trying to switch all elections to primaries. This was in an attempt to increase voter turnout throughout the state. However, the Nevada Republican Party decided that for 2024, they still wanted to do a caucus for the Republicans. As a result, candidates had a choice to either go into the primary that would have 0 delegates but was more symbolic, or they could go into the caucus. So Nikki Haley went into the primary and Donald Trump went into the caucus last week. And in the primary, which was held on Tuesday, Nikki Haley fell to none of these candidates. It was one of 3 options on the ballot, and over 63% of voters went for this option versus 30%, as you see, for Nikki Haley. Interestingly enough, over 15,000 more voters participated in the primary versus the caucus on Thursday, which is what the state was trying to do, get more voter turnout. 75,000 voters in the primary versus around 60,000 for the caucus.
You know, it's interesting because there was a primary on that Tuesday night and there was also a caucus that Thursday night. How did the delegate system work? Were the delegates given out to President Trump? Were they given out to no other candidates? How did the delegate system work this past week in Nevada?
Yeah, so it ended up being that all 28 Republican delegates were in the caucus. So that was on Thursday for the Republicans, and all of them went to former President Donald Trump. He won 99.1% of the vote versus just 0.9% for other candidates. It was a dominating vote. On the Democratic side, they just held a regular primary on Tuesday, and it was another dominating victory for President Joe Biden. He won 90% of all of the votes, and that equated to 36 electoral delegates. After the win, President Biden talked about how Nevada Democrats represent the backbone of our nation. Nevada is going to be a very big state for the Democrats come November. It's a purple state right now. Democrats have held it much in the past. However, there's a lot of question marks about the state this year, and you see here President Biden really trying to hone in on the importance of these Nevada Democrats these next couple of months.
So pretty much predictable results from all sides. Does this actually change anything as we go to the next round of voting in South Carolina on the 24th?
It really does not change much. There's a couple of interesting elections coming up in the next couple of weeks. So the Democrats don't have one for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks from tomorrow will be the Michigan Democratic primary. Not a lot of questions about who's going to win this one. It will be interesting to see if the special counsel report on President Biden has any difference on turnouts in that one. And then the more interesting election comes next Saturday when the Republican South Carolina primary is held. That's Nikki Haley's former governor state. She held the gubernatorial role for 6 years there. However, polls show President Donald Trump has a large lead there. On average, he has about 65% of the vote, according to 538 polls. So there's not a lot of room for Nikki Haley to move with right now in South Carolina. And earlier this week, former President Donald Trump was really encouraging Nikki Haley to drop out of this race, saying it was bad for the party that she's still in it.
Alex, thank you. We follow next 2 weeks.
So I don't know why she continues, but she's a, I don't really care if she continues. I think it's bad for the party. I think it's actually bad for her, too.
2 years